Lasagna is a classic comfort meal, and just like pizza, you can mix up what you put in it. So I decided to take inspiration from my favorite pizza topping mix, pepperoni and jalapeno. Unfortunately, my request for a stick of pepperoni in my Instacart order turned into sliced sopressata, so we're using that instead. I decided to put an extra fat boy spin on it by using spicy Italian sausage in the sauce along with hot honey throughout the recipe. I know people say onions got layers, but onions got nothing on this lasagna's layers. Before we get into it, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Okay, let's go. Start with a generous amount of full fat ricotta cheese. Don't use reduced fat. Reduced fat just means reduced pleasure. Next, we're gonna crack an egg in there, and then we're gonna microplane some of the zest of a lemon. It lifts and brightens everything up. Then salt, black pepper, chopped parsley, and of course, as always, just measure with your heart and feeling here. We want to then mix it up really well, and then let's let it sit in the fridge for all of the flavors to blend. Then let's move on to prepping the meat sauce. Meat sauce sounds kind of funny, but what else do you call it? Is what it is. Dice up a large yellow onion or a white onion. We're going to cut the sopressata into small bite-sized pieces, usually 4s for me. You don't want to leave them whole, otherwise it's just not as pleasant of an eating experience. Of course, as always, just keep tasting as you go. Then heat a large Dutch oven over medium-high heat. Add into it a nice glove of olive oil, and then sweat out the onions. Don't add salt here just yet because it will draw out too much moisture, and what we want to do is add our Italian sausage to this and get it to be able to brown a bit, and then it will keep it juicy. So we want to make some space in the middle of the Dutch oven, add the sausage, flatten it out to brown it nicely on one side. Then after a few minutes, flip it, brown it again on the other side. Then start to break it up, incorporating it with the onions. Next, add garlic cloves. We go heavy on the garlic, but that's just us. Mix it well for 30 seconds to a minute. Then add in tomato paste. We like to buy our tomato paste like we buy our toothpaste so that you can never quite get the last bit out. But it's better than us using half a jar and the rest going bad. So the toothpaste tube tomato paste is a superior delivery method to us. Mix that well, and then add in some passata sauce, which I found out is really just a fancy name for really well blended and strained tomatoes. Stir it all together until well combined. Lower the heat to low and let it continue to slowly cook and move on to the tomatoes. As always, exact measurements for the recipe can be found at the link in the description. Here we have a can of peeled tomatoes, and we're going to blend until smooth using an emulsion blender. We just got this as a holiday gift, but really could not wait until Christmas to open it, and the cat sitting over there who joined the audience can't wait either. If you don't have an emulsion blender, you could crush them with your hands or use a regular blender, or just buy tomatoes that are already crushed and blended. Choose your own adventure. Add it to the pot, and now we're moving on to seasoning it. First up, it's dried oregano. Then we're going to drizzle in some Mike's hot honey. Lots of people add sugar to their sauce or omit it entirely, but this is my fat boy spin, so we're adding hot honey. And then a small Parmesan cheese rind. If you've been throwing away your cheese rinds, you've been making a huge mistake. After grating most of the cheese, just toss the rind in a freezer bag and save them for later use. You can put them in soups, sauces, or even make a Parmesan cheese broth. It's really, really good. We're going to let the sauce simmer on low. The Parmesan cheese rind will eventually dissolve and add some creaminess to balance out the acidity of the tomatoes. This can take sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes an hour. Just play around in the sauce to see where it's at. Now let's move on to the nudes. Bring a large pot of salted water to a boil. We decided to use gluten-free pasta sheets. I bet you didn't see that one coming. You could of course make pasta from scratch, but I really wasn't feeling up for that today, so dried pasta it is. Boil the sheets according to the package instructions and then lay them out in a single layer on a clean dish towel. Now let's layer up this beauty. We're going to add about a cup or a little more of the sauce to the bottom of your baking dish. Add a layer of pasta sheets and then get your third hand to help you measure it all out. Then at the last minute, I decided to add some hot honey to the ricotta mixture because why not? Scoop on about half cup or so of the cheese and spread it out. Then we're going to add the soppressata, and be sure to separate all those pieces as best you can from one another. Then we're going to add some fresh basil just to give it some Christmas colors. Then some fresh grated Parmesan cheese. Then more meat sauce, and spread it out nice and even. Then we're going to repeat again. Pasta, cheese, soppressata, basil, or is it basil? Parmesan, meat sauce, and then again. Let me know what you like to put in your lasagna. I always love to learn from others and how they put their spin on classic recipes like this one, so let me know in the comments. The final layer is cheese, sauce, more cheese, basil, soppressata, and now pickled jalapenos, and top it off with some Parmesan cheese. Then cover it tightly with foil and bake in the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius for those not in the States for 25 minutes. Then remove the foil and bake for another 20. Now it's time for the big reveal. And ta-da! Fat Boy style lasagna. Let's slice and dig into this. My favorite part about this, what I was hoping would happen, is that it brings me that joy with the jalapeno that I get from my favorite pizza toppings. Also kind of the Chili Bear mix, if you will, with the hot honey. Really, really good. Something different, not quite as heavy, but if you'd like to, you could also toss some mozzarella in here. That'll have a little bit more creamy cheese texture with it, kind of thicken it up. But if you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. We're really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so if you're in the holiday spirit, tap the button, please. And thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and the full recipe is linked below.